Good morning. Good morning, everyone. How are we all this morning? Definitely wanted to get in here a little early this morning. It's like 2 o'clock in the morning. No, not really. But feels like it. I didn't go to bed last night till about 2:30. And then wide awake at 5:30 with the rain and everything. But let's go over these cases because there's so much I need to catch up with you all. But what I see is some fantastic work done by all of you. I'm really pleased to see how many people are getting well. You know, I've done this all my life, and I've seen people get well that was so bad that you just didn't think there was any hope for them whatsoever. And they pulled themselves out of this. And here they pulled themselves out of this. And as healers, you have to understand that everybody walks their own walk. It's true we came into this planet, we took on these genetically compromised bodies, yeah. It's all tied into karma and our whole experience here. There's no question about it. Most of your creative people have weak adrenals and kidneys and lymphatic problems. You see it all over. Weaknesses sometimes breeds experiences that you need spiritually. A good example is talking to a young lady yesterday, depressed and not happy with herself, but she has a weak thyroid and parathyroid. So as she strengthens that, she'll start seeing herself in a better light because she's a beautiful woman. So this is the thing, is we have to start pulling ourselves out of this morass of desires and thoughts and enjoy a life of freedom and ecstasy and joy for the moment. And then enjoy your creation as you will, but don't be attached to it. Be willing to lose anything and everything at any given moment. Look at all these fires taking people's homes and things like this. And I saw one old dude, the fires took down his house out west. And he said, well, I'll just start over again. Spiritual dude, good attitude. Because these are just material things. What really matters is you and the happiness and the expression that you give. Because when you throw a stone in a lake or an ocean, you see the ripple effect. And this is exactly what it is. Anything you do has a ripple effect and bumps all the universes around you. So it's so important how you conduct yourself and that you give love and that you give humility. Because remember that commercial for, I don't know if it's a bank or investment firm, and one person watches another person help someone, and then they help someone, and someone watches them help someone. You know, the pass it back syndrome. And pass it forward. Yeah, that's what brings in your universe joy and happiness and health too. It's helping others achieve theirs, and then it all becomes one again. All right, this is MVDBROEK 37. I watch your Q&A on YouTube quite often. I find it very inspiring. Thank you very much, Mark. His name's Mark. A question in regard on my son Scott. Scott is almost 12 years old and has been diagnosed with Kinefelter's, something like that, syndrome. Never heard of that one. As you go, make note down here, it's a testosterone issue. It'd be nice if they just said, instead of syndromes and diseases and categories like this, just what's the problem? That way everybody can understand the problem. Because those that understand some of these interesting words, which is generally medical doctors' names who discover certain set of symptoms and think they've discovered something new, and they put their name on it, and the reality is they're just discovering the same old thing, just locations, and symptomology differences, and, it carries them away. They get excited that they found something new. His body is not developing properly, and he has a lot of tantrums. I believe this comes from the testosterone disorder. Well, I don't know. Testosterone, high or low. Low testosterone wouldn't give the tantrums. I don't want my son to be exposed to synthetic steroids. No kidding. You're a smart man, because you're just ruining the little man's adrenal glands, and that's already the problem. One of our workers had to go up and go to his uncle's funeral, and his uncle is 31 years old. And this is the thing, riddled with cancer. This is what we have to open our eyes up to. Forget about the world that doesn't know anything. Let them wallow in the pig slop. What we need to do is get in and get these mamas and daddies thinking about genetics and how to remember their genetics, strengthen their bodies before they conceive and have children. We must unwind this if the human race wants to exist here. Not up to me, of course, but if we can help and change the focus of creation at this level, even though it's already created, you know. So you'll see what's going on if you get out of the body. You can, and they take you to the astral world and to some of these museums. You'll see what's going to happen here on this planet. The world is already created. That's why you see the deja vu syndromes. But as we talk from a physical viewpoint, I suppose, I don't want my son. Okay, so here, Mark from Holland. Mark from Holland. Listen, this is what we've been talking about for a lot of years here, and on the YouTube for going around a year and a half, isn't it now? Something like that. You're seeing the adrenal glands, the prostates, the testicles in young men, cells not up to par. I mean, look at all the men my age with kidneys and prostate problems. Look at all the 50-year-olds with kidneys and prostate problems. Look at all the 40-year-olds with prostate and kidney problems. And it just keeps on going down. And it's just a serious situation. So regeneration is a key word I like to use. Rejuvenation of the cell, if you will. Detoxifying the human body because of the effect of these weaknesses, and added to the type of diets that man is choosing to consume, has clogged his body full of mucus from all the proteins and the dairy type foods and the animal products. The man just needs to get his spirituality in order and his self in order and pull out of the slums. But this goes far deeper than man knows. There are beings responsible for the upkeep of different universes and for channeling God forces in major universes. And these deities have a lot of different names. Obviously, you can read about them in most writings, spiritual writings around the world, religious writings. A lot of, most of what you read exists, but a lot of it is in the lower worlds, the high worlds. And I had a great conversation with a YouTuber, and it was nice to speak to someone that understood the difference between the lower worlds and the higher worlds, or basically the worlds of creation and the worlds of pure consciousness. Big fun to talk to people like that. And as we grow and learn about how creation is created, and it shouldn't be offensive to anyone, even Islam, don't be offensive to things. Learn what God is, how God made things. Let's start changing the path to things. Destruction isn't a pathway to anything. But the negative forces are pretty strong here on the negative side, and I think they've gotten out of balance myself. So it's the spiritual people flocking here to this planet that's bringing the light and love to this planet. And you see it a lot. A lot of spiritual beings are working with a lot of souls on this planet. I don't know why this is such a big deal. It's a little rock spinning through space. But it is. Mark, I would go into my son's adrenal glands and use a glandular at his age. You can, just because it's definitely going to be chronic at his age. This will increase, making cells healthy will make cells that produce whatever. In other words, if you say, I've got to work on this testosterone issue, you'll never be successful. I have to work on this estrogen issue. I'll never be successful because the treatment of symptoms doesn't work. It's obvious the allopath has taught the world one great thing. Their system does not work. Their system kills more people. That way beyond what's even would be slightly acceptable. That's the wrong pathway, and it takes no understanding of nature and nature's laws and what really is the problem. It's like playing in fields of dreams that doesn't really exist. And so this whole concept of diseases, you've got to get yourself out of that. If you don't get yourself out of the concept of diseases, it's hard to win the battle because they control the battle. And if we want to play their game, then you're going to lose because they're more powerful. They have more money, and they're tied to the World Bank. They're mafia. But if you tie to God, nothing's more powerful than that. And this is the teaching of God. Look around. It's using God's foods, God's tools, the herbs and stuff. I think that's all a godly thing. And anyone that uses natural stuff is promoting God and nature and things. And I think it's time man accepts that fact that he's very much a part of that. But anyway, I would do that and go after my young man. Do the brain and nerve, number 2. This will help to strengthen this young man's nervous system. At the same time, I would definitely go into the kidneys and lymph. And even if you did slowly, and you went, say, kidney liquid and lymphatic 1 liquid, parasite him, clean him out in case he's hyperactive in that way. Detoxing for any type of acidosis that's creating hyperactivity. Remember, acidosis can create hyperactivity or hypoactivity. It will always end up hypoactivity. It will always end up losing, underproducing, dying. That's the end role or the end effect of acidosis. Is the whole augmentation, mutation, breakdown of whatever and wherever that process is going on. So, just important to realize that it's in this young man, you've got to change his diet, get him on the fruits, berries, and melons, get him detoxified, any heavy metals, anything like that in him. If there is something creating hyperactivity besides acids, it would be probably neurotoxins or some type of toxicity factors. Detoxify that out. Think about pituitary. If his growth is not where it should be, go to the pituitary. Pituitary does control everything down below. So a little bit of a pituitary, I probably would start your son on the endocrine gland formula first and foremost. Kidney 1, lymphatic 1. Those are 3 herbs. And, maybe take a look at that and see. Make an appointment someday or with one of our counselors or whatever and see if we can find something deeper. But detox is the only way, no matter what is the problem, because you're always going to, detoxification is always going to remove acids, it's going to create hydration, it's going to remove toxicity, it's going to remove anything that's suppressive, all of that. Then you're just faced with the cell and the health of that cell. And the health of the cell, no matter where it is, depends on the genetic lineage. And how a cell perceives itself. We want to change the perception like we're changing the perception of how you see yourself. It's funny. Perceptions make a big deal in your life and how you run your life, how you perceive things. And a lot of times if you're not working from the present moment in the now, your perception is tied with memory patterns, the mind. And therefore your perception is tainted with propaganda or with a conditioned state because you have been conditioned by societies and schools and things like this, even your religious teachings. And so very difficult for a soul at this level to strip away from that, pull away from that and start to see the sun shining and be free from that. It's just an exhilarating feeling of nirvana, of ecstasy and joy, because now you're feeling and sensing and understanding and knowing your infiniteness, your allness, where thought is only the process motivated by desire to achieve an activity or to achieve something. But that's a process of activity, not a process of consciousness. It can be a result of a state of consciousness where a person is trapped in the conditioned thinking in the mind, influenced by the mind, that getting beyond the mind in a process of living in the moment, of being here now, you will then expand far greater and the answers will start coming to you. That's what years ago Timothy Leary and the use of LSD did. Even government used LSD to experiment. And LSD has the ability to quiet the conscious mind. If you're not a strong person, the subconscious mind comes in, you take off tripping. But if you're strong spiritually, you will grab the now that the LSD can give you. And the intensity and the knowledge in the now is immense. A lot of people enjoyed that experience. Although it's a chemical experience, in terms of that was the initiator. Okay, but then learn how to do it naturally. Learn how to be. These are tools, like the weed is a tool. All these things are tools. At the same time, you must be that which is. And in that process of beingness, you won't need any tools, because you are the ultimate tool. So Mark, take care of your son there. Get him on the raw. And giving him steroids would be the worst thing you could do to him. That would ruin his adrenal glands, and then you would not like your life with your son. It would not be a fun life. So don't let the medical doctors taint your journey with your lovely son there. Get your son healthy, and you'll have fun with him. Vanessa, hello! Hello to you, sweetheart. I want to take the time to thank... Oh, thanks, sweetheart. I appreciate your inspirating words here. It helps to keep me going. My passion for many years now is to become a healer. Cool. I love it. You got my backing. I have been experiencing and experimenting and doing my own research, including your videos, for 4 years now. Good deal. Many detoxes, diets, nature paths later. I have achieved an amazing level, but now I am on your detox kit and heading to 80% raw and 20% cooked, and I can tell you I have never felt so alive, aware, and healthy. Isn't it fun? I tell you something, you don't feel as well, you don't feel as live because you're eating life. You're consuming life. Yeah. Life. That was Frankenstein. Yeah, one thing. See, the life of movies. Good thing I can't stand movies anymore. I just can't get into another drama. Getting into more drama is not on the ticket in my life. Please, enough drama. But I did have one question. I am doing the detox kit as I mentioned. I am focusing on the juicing and fruits mostly with green salad at night. I'm on a week 3 and have noticed dark circles under my eyes and wondered if you share your knowledge on this. Well, this is the kidneys. And you know what's funny? When you start detoxing, it isn't that one's getting worse, but you're exposing what's underneath. You're basically lifting the covers and looking underneath and going, oops. I guess I need to do something here. And that's what it is. Healthy tissue remains healthy tissue is healthy tissue. Weakened or damaged tissue oftentimes is terminated. This is why you see a little breakdown, a little augmentation of the body for a few months or so while you're on this journey. Can take longer. It depends on the person, the genetics, the level of lymph toxicity and acidosis. All this is relative. But you can make sure that in detoxification, the process is toward Wellville. God always makes that process toward strengthening. So no matter what you see in the stages of detoxification, which you can see some pretty gnarly stuff. Some people have some pretty wicked healing crises, no question about it. Some you would just never even think is healing crisis. But I can tell you, in the end, the remedy is there. You're out of the tunnel. You're out of the pain. Your body is morphodized into its healthy self again, beyond what it even genetically thought of itself to be, and you're heading down a whole nother road. So it's well worth the process of doing that. You're going to see, remember this darkness that's under the eyes, and you'll just see a certain amount of inset, just certain amount of look, and it's always kidneys. But it's just exposing that that's a weakness that you have. So you get in, clean it up, and I also really want to ask you about juvenile arthritis. My friend's beautiful 5-year-old girl has it. Now listen, this is what we're talking about. These kids, they're coming along. We've got 7-month-year-old liver cancer case, 3-year-old brain cancer case, 5-year-old brain cancer case. This is just what we're seeing. And the sadness is that we still have major control of allopathic people over your children. You still have state control over your children. I don't know about you in other countries and who controls your children in there. But in America now, the government feels, and just like Obama said the other day, it's the government is why people are happy and healthy. What is that guy smoking? Ain't anything good. So, probably some cow dung in the back. I mean, this is just ridiculous. Type of thinking. I don't know. These people are so out of balance, so out of touch with reality. I don't know why they keep getting in these places. But what would you do with juvenile diabetes? Any different than you would with adult diabetes, or excuse me, arthritis? Any difference? No, none whatsoever. This is a little person. So what we have here is serious kidney, adrenals, and lymphatics. And of course, at 5 years old, the mama has to look at her lymphatic system, her kidneys and adrenals. That's the core of this issue. Clean up the bowels. Do the same thing in a 5-year-old you would an adult. You don't do as much herbs, and you do a lot less herbs. So you go by weight. So you can go into, as you get toward an infant, you can do just drops of herbs, like 3 or 4 drops. In most botanical work, it's about drops. Richard Schultz had made a claim once that 45 drops of a real good, strong herbal formula would be more than adequate. I'm saying, Richard, I triple that, and you could quadruple that. I'm the most aggressive herbalist probably out there, but look at the results. And you can do more. Let me tell you, there are some of you that are so sensitive you got to do less. I understand that. I see that all the time. These are powerful herbal formulas, I think. So yes, absolutely, and that's okay. Nothing wrong with that. But you also, in a stat need, which means an emergency need, a now need, you can go on up with them as far as I'm concerned, because that's what I do. You know, I'll sit there and double dip. Remember, Shania Twain, 23 formulas at once. I mean, that's more than I could do. Oh, thanks. This is from Mike. Hi, Mike from Texas. Yeah, I was just looking at the news about Texas. I'm a huge fan. Thank you, Mike. I have watched about April 1. You watched a lot of videos then, son. That's a lot. I appreciate you watching them, because I feel sorry for you guys having to go review them all. It's such a lot of videos. But I hope you gain as much as you can out of there. I hope I'm satisfying you guys' needs. From what I can remember, fruits are good for pets, and I have been feeding my dog some fruit here and there. Absolutely. All the pets around here and the people that work for us get fruits, veggies. Reading Parade magazine in yesterday's paper, there was an article called "The Secret Life of Pets." Well, that's a cute. I wonder if it's tied in with the people that wrote Secret Life of Plants, Secret Life of something else they wrote. It was a good book. In point number 10, they say that grapes are poisonous to dogs. Now, I've heard this over and over and over again, and maybe they are. I can only tell you that there are a great many people out there that do feed their dogs grapes and raisins. I've fed my dogs raisins. But, you know, they could be. They could be. I just have never, ever seen that. But they could be. You know, this is something that's going around. I've seen statements that went around. A good statement that went around was on lobelia. Remember that? Lobelia got a bad rap because the medical profession blamed it on something. Then when the court case came up, they couldn't prove it. They had old Dr. Christopher involved, of course. And, of course, they couldn't prove it. That was all a lie. It was all perpetuated by this medical doctor that was just mad. And so the herbalists carried this concept of lobelia being bad for you through a lot of herb books. You pick up a lot of herb books and lobelia is bad for you. Copycat herb books. There's a lot of copycat herb books. You have to find out which ones they are and throw them away. A lot of people copycat herb books and don't do a good job on them. But so I can't tell you that. I can't tell you. I've seen a lot of dogs eat grapes, and then a lot of people claim that it's poison. So I don't know where I stand with that. I don't know. They quote as their source, Pet Poison Helpline. Here's a specific link. You know, that's not going to do me any good because I see a lot of dogs chewing gone grapes. But then again, for those of you that dogs are eating grapes, you can put that in there. Or if you know your dog ate grapes and got sick, you can put a post. I've seen a lot of dogs eat grapes, guys, and then I don't know. You know, it's possible. It really is possible. That's a new thing for me going around the last few years. This is Tinkzorro. Sorry, we talked about that yesterday. Zorro. I'm a female at 29 years old. I've had years of depression. 29 years old, and this lady's had years of depression. Is that not sad? And I wish she had no fun in her youth. That's not fun. This is why we need to do this, is we need to have some fun. People have a right to be free, to have fun, joy, love in their lives. This huge amount of negativity has to end. And it's only going to end when we start connecting to the light at the higher levels and get those that are channeling the negative forces a little in a different place. I've been feeling very physically ill. I have high testosterone. Here's another testosterone. So what are we at? We're at the adrenals, aren't we? And I am awaiting a scan to check for cysts. I don't want to take birth control, etc. I feel toxic, started on the raw foods. I gave up alcohol and caffeine years ago, but I am finding quitting sugar and bread so much harder than that was. I'm booked in for a colonic and intend on alkalizing my body. Now, remember about fungus. Until you really get a hold of fungus in the body, the craving for sugars and, breads and carbs, not carbohydrates, starches, which are complex carbohydrates, which in other words could be di, or polysaccharides, sugars, meaning more than one sugar. So when you complex, it's like protein is more than one amino acid. Same type of thing. Starch is more than one sugar, simple sugar, fructose or glucose, or the combination of both. Fats, combination of fatty acids. So when you see the complexity of chemistry, know that man isn't adapted to using it. No animal really is, and that's of course why we have digestion. Those that are adapted to real complex structures are generally your weaker animals, and they have a much different GI tract. The GI tract of a cat is entirely different than that of a Homo sapien. Entirely. But a Homo sapien as GI tract is not that much different than a herbivore, other than it has a few more stomachs and a lot longer, and it's similar to an omnivore, but not near as short. There's a lot of differences in species. And it should be another way to direct your attention back to the fruits, berries, and melons, to be quite truthful with you. Part 2 is my symptoms are these. Mainly I feel like I'm getting weaker every day, way over my normal weight. All right, so the first thing, you got your adrenals going. That's your testosterone link, that's your overweight link, that's your craving of carb link. You're not metabolizing your sugars properly, therefore fermentation is taking place and fungus is involved in helping you with that fermentation. With that said, you've got to go on a parasite M or something like that to control the fungus, and at the same time, I would definitely go after my adrenal glands. That means your kidneys are probably down and you're not filtering lymphatically, and now you're starting to feel that full bloated acid. I don't feel light like a feather and full of fun and everything else. I feel tight, I feel sicker, I feel weaker type of feeling. Water retention. What's water retention, guys? What's water retention? Acidosis. Acidosis. Now, you're a woman, you hold water during your monthly cycles. Why? Acidosis. Estrogen and testosterone are acidic, and this testosterone isn't helping you with holding water because it's feeding the acidosis. If you were looking at this medically, you would take progesterone on the hips. Or if you were doing this naturopathic medicine-wise, you would put progesterone cream on your hips. At the same time, if you're doing this at this level, you would get the female reproductive formula and start rebuilding the pituitary females, and at the same time get into the adrenal glands, kidneys, and move the lymph so you can get all this acid out of you. You'll start feeling lighter. The edema will come out. All this water weight, because you can have 10, 15 pounds of water easy in you. And so get that out and start hydrating interstitially, meaning around the cells, and you'll be good. Spots, ridged nails. Okay, so tie ridged nails maybe to the parathyroid. You'd have to look at other factors because just being highly acidic will take your calcium out. You wouldn't have to have a parathyroid weakness, but you would look at that. A tan mustache. Bloated wrist, well, whichever wrist that is, that kidney is the one not real happy. This is, again, all about your lymph, all about acidosis, all about water retention. This whole process that we've been talking about on all these videos, you're right there with it, See how easy this is? Because it's not difficult. If each one of you will apply that knowledge to your case and understand what acids do to your body, where did these acids come from, the cells, what system deals with this, the lymph system, what is the lymph system, and here's where it gets wicked. When you study allopathic lymph systems, it's simply that you poop in your kitchen. Your cellular waste, which are acids, are dumped into the blood, which is base. That means your blood is constantly getting hit with acids, even though it is granted that a carbon dioxide can convert itself to water and back, blah, 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 that their body's full of a lot of other acids. But we can just dump them into blood. That's okay. How is that okay? Nobody wants to dump acids in the blood except through the food sources where the chemistry is in balance of 80-20. Meat isn't in balance in chemistry. Only fruits and vegetables are in balance in chemistry between the chemistry that fits the cells of the body and the fluids. Fruits and vegetables are the only one that comes close to the air. At least going back before man took hold and learned how not to grow stuff right. Crack on right corner of mouth, you're dehydrating. You're dehydrating. You're getting dehydrated. You're holding water to help that, so you don't burn down your cells. It gets worse the more sugar I eat. Well, can't I eat fruit? Yeah. Can you? How fast can you? Very foggy head. Well, I would definitely saturate my body with a parasitic formula because of the heavy fungal overgrowth, and I'd go right into this and get into the adrenals, get into the kidneys, get into the gut, get into the lymph systems, just like we've been talking about, and really clean you up. Trouble sleeping and walking. Well, if you might be backed up way in the head, getting cloudy in the head, the pineal gland, making you inability, insomnia. Look at the pineal gland. Painful periods. Yep, see? Dark circles under eyes. There's your kidneys. A dark line under navel. Interesting. Dry skin. Strange taste in mouth. Yeah, I mean, who knows what you've consumed? I mean, your tongue and your mouth is just an extension of your bowels. This is just part of your GI tract. Yeah, I don't kiss anybody anymore. But it is. And that, till you get out on the lips, of course. But really, this is an extension of that. Laryngitis. You're backed up, sweetheart. I have a feeling that I won't heal and is still painful after 3 months. Mainly, I just feel tired and so sad all the time. Connect to life. Connect to life, sweetheart. Connect to life. Start eating life. Start detoxifying. Start fixing what's wrong. And very easy to determine your problems. Go to Facebook. Have the people help you there. But this is just standard stuff. Standard stuff. Here's a weird brown mole. Well, take parasite from you until it falls off. Someone sent me this Osteoflex. I've seen it before. I don't know what's in it. Maybe it's down in here somewhere. Oh, man. Dr. Morris, I have a friend who was just diagnosed with a stage 3 brain tumor. He had the tumor removed, and of course, I think I read this before, and of course the doctors want to use chemo to remove the remaining stem of the tumor since it is malignant. What are your thoughts on a tumor cancer, or is this of this severity? Can it be removed naturally quick enough? Well, good question. Thanks a lot for that. ABSTRUKT. I think this is an older one, but absolutely. I mean, this is all lymphs. And yes, this is in a vital area. The problem is, and I think you really suggested this here, by how fast can we do this? That's a good question. And you won't know until you get honking on your client. You won't know because you're looking at urine, how fast can this guy filter, all these things. The chemo isn't the answer either. That's not going to get rid of the tumor. It might shrink it a little bit, but it's not going to get rid of it, and then it's going to explode, because that's just what it does. And then all the other areas of the body that's weak, because remember, to have a tumor in the brain, your lymph system isn't moving anywhere in your body well. So you have this guy has systemic inflammation, which is just going to be perpetuated by more chemo. I don't know. Some federal judge needs to wake up and then make it a crime to administer chemo. It's not nectar of the gods. Got to have your nectar today. So you would really honk on this one. Remember, there's a bowel connected to this one. So really clean up that gut, get the kidneys, and get aggressive. You do a lot of fasting and really honking on this, a lot of lemon juice fasts and stuff like this, and you can get that out of there. We've gotten a lot of brain cancers out of there. Tumors, and stuff like that. But you just have to see how fast. And look at his eyes would be helpful too, because it depends how chronic you're looking at. I mean, I hate to say it, but you just get in there and you rip it apart because he's in trouble already. So going allopathically, he just gets himself in more trouble. He doesn't have a lot of choices, period. So which ones he chooses, even though people are scared of this, don't be scared of God. Be scared of chemotherapy and radiation. You have to be scared of anything. I mean, you're not talking about candy here. You're talking about acids that take no mercy. Hell, 3 pH acids take no mercy. Just get a strong Coke and hold it in your mouth for a while, and that's exactly what your cells are being protected from. Well, Doc, oh yeah, I read this before. Hey, reforest for fertility. Okay, this is going to have to be a showdown of ignorance here. Here, is it okay? Here, it's all okay here, corral. Good. Fermentation was what was used before there was, this is the one I wanted to read, before refrigeration, and it is still used on tea, coffee, chocolate, etc., to carry things to distant markets without risk of putrefaction. Well, things that ferment don't putrefy, because putrefaction is basically your proteins and fat type things. Your fermentation is your sugars. This is a great gaping hole in your knowledge, though you spoke. No, it's not a great gaping hole. I just don't believe we have to do that. It's not a hole. I mean, fermentation isn't a healthy process. It's a dying process. We are islanders. We are tropical species. Pick, eat. Yes, we've had to do some of these things. We don't have to do some of these things anymore because we invented the wheel. So you don't have to do that. Fermentation, what was done? Did we have to carry like a ball and chain what we did in the past all the way down the highway? Hell no. Drop it and live in the now. Wake up to what man was doing was wrong. Admit that and get into the right car and get into the right lane and the right road and go to Wellville. Outside of that, you're going to play with fermenting your foods. Remember, I told you Dr. Jensen loved fermentation, and his bowels showed it, black, and he passed gas constantly. There's nothing healthy about creating fermentation in the human body if you like bloating, gas, and fungus, and that's fermentation. Putrefaction is far much worse. You're talking about proteolytic bacteria now. So this is, it's a whole different world. So, if you want, for fertility, to have fermented foods in your life, you just go right ahead. Eat all the fermented mushrooms you want. Oh, it also makes the food more digestible. Yeah, because it is already digesting to its way to death, sweetheart. Chemistry is augmented. You're not getting the same chemistry anymore. Everything's breaking down. You're not getting the same nutrition anymore. Everything's breaking down. Is that the way God intended it? I can tell you that most monkeys, when it's too fermented, throw it. They don't suck down a highly fermented food. For carrying nutrients more thoroughly to the cells, I don't think I'm going to agree with you on that one. And why of herbal tinctures? How better to heal the body from antibiotic use, not to mention the rest of the farm. Why would we need more of that? Here's one thing I don't think people understand. You can't keep microbes out. I don't care how many times you wash your hands, you wash your body, you wash the air. You're not going to keep microbes out. This is a huge world in and of itself. That you know that if I send a message to the bacteria in America, it'll only be a few hours before those in the UK get the message. That's how fast and that's how massive this microbial kingdom is. And there's no way man is going to kill it. And there's no way that you have to understand the processes of this. And understand the process of decay. If you want to eat decayed food, because that's what you're talking about. If you want to eat decayed food and you think that's healthier than vibrant live food, be my guest. But I'm here to tell you I disagree with it. And what we did in the past, we also canned. So, do we can now? Everybody familiar with canning food? My parents canned food. That's super cooking it. Super killing it. It'll be good in the winter. We don't have to live that way anymore. Wake up to the new. Open the curtains. Open the curtains on your windows. Let the sunshine in. Aaron, ever since I started watching your videos, my life has been changing drastically. Good. We want it to change. I hope it's for the better, because that's what this is about. I'm going to ring you guys on these things. Of course, doesn't mean I'm always right either, guys. But I'm tell you, I look at things, I think, from a perspective of common sense. And you have to think about that. When you think about these things, think of common sense. What the past was the past, the now is the now. What we had to do survival, we don't have to do now. We now can become our frugivore selves because we've dominated the world and we've invented the wheel. We have trucking. And we need to learn how to build huge greenhouses so we can have the Midwest, of course, the new desert coming, can have some greenhouses out there. Yesterday I was watching the video where you were talking about the guy who was colorblind, that was concerned about his ability to perform iridology. Yes. When you were talking about him, you said that he was a spiritual giant sent to this world to help a lot of people, because since the age of 15 he felt in his heart to become a healer. At that time I felt the Holy Spirit came over me so strong that I began to cry. Absolutely, honey. A lot of you guys that are viewing these videos right now need to understand you're so much more than how you're seeing yourselves. You guys, this is why I'm here, to help you open yourselves up and see yourselves as spiritual giants. Because you are. All of you are beautiful spiritual giants. Some of you are in pain. Some of you are living in bad situations. You do your very best. Put the world to the outside of yourself and keep your inside strong and protected. And don't allow entities in your space. Don't allow people. Don't allow entities. If you allow people in your space, you allow entities in your space. And you might not even know it. So just have to get a little smarter, a little stronger, a little more aware. And that's what this is about. You know, survival beyond the physical world. I hardly ever remember dreams. But you better start remembering, dear, because I'm going to come to you in your dream. You watch. The next 3 nights, I will be in your dreams, Aaron. I hardly ever remember dreams, but in this case I did. You and I, along with other people, were walking through the woods, and you were teaching us about botanicals, pointing at different plants and telling us their purpose. There was a pack of wild dogs that kept running by, growling and showing their teeth, trying to scare us, but no one paid them any attention. And see, that is the wolves, like the allopathy. That example was for you, to show you that you have the wolves, to pull you away from this level of healing. You know, the negative forces don't, that's their job though, keep that in mind. They don't want you to know this. They'll do anything they can to stop you. That's just part of the process. So watch your world, that people will come and try to pull this information, try to get you off point, try to like confuse you. Fermented food, you should have some. Oh, you should have some meat. All the old people came, their brain got so big because of meat eating. How arrogant, how arrogant. There was a, okay, can you give me some insight on what this means? Absolutely. Be strong in your commitment and your knowingness. Don't let anything pull you off the road. Be strong in your knowingness and your love and your joy, because there are always going to be those wolves barking at your heels to take it. Could be your loved one, could be your parents, could be your children, could be anyone around you, your work. You're going to be tested. All of you guys, this is another thing. I haven't had a chance to do some spiritual videos, but all of you guys are going to be tested here to how can you maintain these higher levels of consciousness and of health. And you're always going to be tested. There's times I've failed, and there's times I've passed. So, you know, we get where we are by this process. But we'll always be here to help pull you guys up. Just remember that. If you need any help, we're always here for you. Just remember that. I've always felt in my heart that I wanted to help people, but never imagined myself being a healer. Well, dear one, you be a healer now, okay? That's your job. And I have to pull off, and unfortunately, I could go on all day long. And maybe I'll do that one of these days, and we'll have a good 12 hours and just catch up. I love you all. You have fun today, and enjoy yourself, and don't let anyone pull you from the high and the beauty and the love that you represent. Alrighty? Bye, bye, bye. Love you. Namaste.